it started flickering and a little puff of smoke came out. What is going on? This was like a minute before we were supposed to start.
Imaginative powers were so strong that you were like pulling in spirits from other dimensions.
Could not handle what was about to happen.
Hey everyone, I'm Belle Reid and welcome back. So today I want to share one of my favorite methods for creating collaborative music with other musicians. My friend Andrew Huang is going to help me out with this, and together we're going to collaborate on a new piece of music. Really quick before we jump in, I wanted to mention that my synthesis and sound design class is going to be opening up for enrollment again in late February. Since I only open enrollment 1 or 2 times a year and it only opens for a few days at a time, I wanted to make sure to mention it just so you don't miss out in case you're interested. There's a link in the description below this video to join the waitlist, which will ensure that you're notified as soon as enrollment opens. Okay, so let's talk about collaboration.
Where do we begin?
There are obviously a ton of different ways to collaborate with other people. You can each take turns writing parts of a piece of music, or you can assign each person in the collaboration a different role, like one person's a composer and the other people are performers. You can send files and data back and forth between one another. And of course, you can get into the same room and improvise and take whatever parts you like and turn them into something more fleshed out. But the method of collaboration I want to share with you today is different from any of those, and it's a little bit unusual. The process is called Imaginative Listening, and here is how it works. So with an imaginative listening collaboration, you're collaborating with someone in real time, but you're not together in the same space. Moreover, you can't actually see or hear the person you're collaborating with. There's also no pre-planning or discussion, except for choosing the day and time of the session and deciding on the general length of the piece that you want to create. So what you do is you and your collaborator both set up in your respective studios at the time that you predetermined. You make sure that you have some kind of instrument or some kind of way of making sound ready to go. You settle in and start with a few moments of silence and deep listening. And then you hit record and you play. And at the same time, of course, your collaborator is doing the same thing over in their studio. Once you're both done, there's no editing or redos allowed. What you do is you simply take the tracks that you each recorded, you line up the beginnings, you do some basic level adjustments if needed just for balance and clarity, and then you're done. Now, I know that this might sound really weird, and in a way, it is, but also hear me out because this way of collaboration is so cool. An imaginative listening collaboration is all about tapping into your ability to listen, to imagine, and to seize the creative moment. You don't know what key they're playing in, what tempo they're playing at, what instrument they're using. You don't know if they're playing spaciously or rapidly. So you're not able to respond to the typical musical cues that you're used to getting in a collaborative setting. Instead, all of that needs to come from within you. You need to decide when it's time to play loudly, to make a bold move, or to lay back and leave space, or to jump in with an entirely new idea. The most important thing is that everyone involved approaches it with sincerity and open ears. And if that happens and everyone is committed to the process, it is really, really incredible what happens. So I asked Andrew to do this imaginative listening experiment with me, and he is over in his studio right now, getting set up and getting ready to go. I gave him basically the exact same brief that I just shared with all of you, and neither of us have any idea what the other person is going to do. I don't even know what instrument he's planning to play. We chose a rough duration of 4 to 5 minutes for the piece, and that is the only detail that we pre-planned. So for my side of the collaboration, I've decided that I'm going to play my trumpet, and I'm going to use Max MSP for some live processing of the trumpet sound. Okay, so we are just a few minutes away from the official start time of our collaboration. So I'm going to get into listening mode, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, so I'm heading over to Andrew's studio so that we can listen to the results from our Imaginative Listening collaboration. Neither of us have heard anything yet, so we have no idea what it's going to sound like. And I guess we'll find out.
Okay.
Okay, here we are.
About to listen.
But first, maybe, do you want to talk first? What was this experience like for you? What was going through your head? Was it like really bizarre? Was it fun? Was it uncomfortable?
It was meditative, for sure. It was very fun. I felt like, I remember it being quite a stressful day leading up to this, and it was nice to just stop and have... We did 5 minutes of silence before playing. It was, on the one hand, so much pressure, because I'm like, there's no retakes.
Right.
For sure. It's just like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I had set up a little bit of stuff, but there was plenty of happy accidents. Then at the same time, I felt like the pressure was lower because you're going to be doing half of this piece, even though I can't hear it.
Right.
And you're going to be providing plenty of support as well. So
yeah,
that was very interesting. Yeah.
There's something that I always feel with this collaboration, and this is actually kind of an idea that I got from working with Wadada Leo Smith. I'm going to try to remember to put his name somewhere in the description or links or something. He used to talk a lot about sincerity and commitment to your musical ideas. And that was something that I used to struggle a lot with in an improvising ensemble, where if I noticed someone in the group getting quieter, I would be like, oh, I guess we're supposed to get quiet now. Even though my idea 5 seconds before was about to get louder, right? But I'd find myself like taking back ideas.
I wonder how much of that is a trained thing versus like I could just imagine different people responding differently. Like, are you reading the room, or are you trying to work together? And does working together mean when one person gets quiet, we all get quiet? Or maybe someone interpret that as they're making space for someone else.
Right.
So
yeah. So what was really amazing, and that tendency makes a lot of sense, but what he would always really emphasize is like, if you had a creative idea, if there was something you were about to do, the biggest, most important thing for you to do is that thing, regardless of what happens. And he was really a strong believer that when everyone does that, magic happens. And I think that this way of working kind of facilitates that a little, because you have no choice.
Yeah,
like you kind of have to go for it. You have no idea if it's the right moment. So
it's interesting because at the same time I was also thinking about how to leave space, and so there were times where it wasn't so much about, I don't know, my idea or what I wanted to do, but it was like letting things simmer, or like...
Yeah. All right. Are you ready?
I'm so excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. What? There were a couple times when I just actually looked at the screen to figure out which part was
Yeah. The same thing. I was like, did I do that? I felt like, you ended up leaving space right where I did kind of a melody, playing some resonance. I kept getting images of like a tiger sniffing around. There were a lot of like ominous kind of creature related sounds I felt.
Yeah.
But then it was also a little bit spacey and...
Definitely a bit spacey. It's interesting that we both started so low.
Yeah, we swelled at the same time. And I felt there were a number of moments where...
That's crazy.
We were both building at the same time. Are we playing the same note?
I don't know.
Nah. But they work.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, I felt like often our intensities matched. So you were doing trumpet and Max?
I was doing trumpet and Max.
Okay.
For me, the trumpet in particular is just something that feels like a real connection to my breath and my body. And with this exercise in particular, felt like the right tool to grab in the moment.
Yeah, I, immediately upon being invited to do this, I knew I wanted to play some kind of modular patch. And I just put together, I think it was just a 2-voice thing of like the drones and the kind of tappy filter pings. Yeah, going through some effects, and I kind of like had an idea of maybe the range that would be there, and then I just kind of went for it. And there were some moments where something completely unexpected happened when I pushed a knob much farther than I had when I kind of patched things up, and I just went with it. But they became things that I really liked. So,
yeah. That's such a cool moment. Oh my god, hang on. It's like a little call and response.
Yeah.
Like the ghost. That's so crazy. Anyway, that whole moment was completely not what I planned on doing. It was one of those
Nice.
moments where I was like, well, this is happening, so I'm just gonna...
That was me
for
with
it.
a couple of the like I wasn't intending for the filter pings to ever have like this ringing resonance that got out of control and like fed back, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to work with this, and it turned into some really fun like additional droney stuff.
One of the questions that I love asking people is like, now that you've done this and listened to it, is there anything that you think you might bring from the imaginative listening concept or idea into other things that you're doing? Even if you can see and hear your collaborators, or even if you're playing alone.
It's made me want to just regularly mash together 2 things that I've made on separate occasions.
Just see what happens.
And just see what happens. Because I feel like every once in a while I do that, and it's usually because I'm stuck with something, and I'm just I just want to reach for something and not have to build it all from scratch right now. Or if I am stuck, I don't even know what I want to do to add on to this piece. And so you, almost out of laziness, you just like find something from your grab bag of recordings, and there's so much serendipity when you do that. I feel like it works more often than it doesn't, which is the wildest thing.
I agree. I completely agree.
But also, I forgot I wanted to tell you.
There was like a phantom.
So the reason I was recording to this tape machine anyway was because I had my assistant in the studio that day, and he was using my computer. Not often in my world anyway, in a situation where I'm just like, I'm recording to I'm committing to just like this stereo. I don't need the stems, whatever. So opportunity to use the tape machine just as a recorder, not as a like I'm normally using it as like a gluer or a slower downer or whatever. And was about to do the recording, and I got everything all set up, and I don't remember if I did something or if it just happened, but it started flickering and a little puff of smoke came out. I was like, what is going on? This was like a minute before we were supposed to start. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on with that. And then after a while, it sort of settled again. And it was still on. It was just like flickery. But then it stopped flickering. And I I did a little test recording. I was like, it seems to be recording. I'm just going to go for it. And I went for it, and it worked fine. Recorded everything. I played it back. And then I found out after it would not turn off. I was pressing the power button, and it was just like...
No!
Occasionally doing a flicker again.
It just wanted to keep going.
Yeah. So I finally just had to rip the plug out of the wall. But yeah, so I need to get it serviced.
Yes.
But we had a little, ghost visitation.
I love that.
Right as I was about to start listening.
Your imaginative powers were so strong that you were like pulling in spirits from other dimensions.
Tape could not handle what was about to happen.
That's awesome.
If this video and these kinds of experimental approaches to working with sound and improvisation resonated with you, then I want to make sure that you know about my online class, Learning Sound and Synthesis. The class is broken down into step-by-step training that guides you from the most important fundamentals of synthesis and the history of synthesis, all the way through to advanced level sound design and patching. So whether your goal is to perform live with synthesizers, to integrate your acoustic instruments with electronics, or to make generative ambient soundscapes, you will walk away with a solid foundation and all of the tools that you need to get your project off the ground. I typically open up Learning Sound and Synthesis 1 to 2 times per year, so you can go to soundandsynthesis.com/waitlist to join the waitlist, and that will mean that you're the first notified when enrollment opens back up. And finally, for those of you who are curious about the full audio that came out of this collaboration, I'm going to be sharing everything over on my Patreon page. You can go to patreon.com/SarahBelleReid to learn more about my Patreon community, get yourself signed up if you're interested, and download the music from this collaboration. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching and for listening, and I'll see you next time.
I think that's probably good, right?
Yeah.
How do I end things?